as our old friend Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon, rest in peace. Had to start with that. I'm definitely an old wrestling fan, Scott, from back in the days. You know, Razor Ramon goes back to Scott Hall and the NWO and WCW. So, wanted to give a tribute here to the bad guy to start the show. Unfortunately, lost him. Exactly. The guy was just unreal. I mean, had his struggles, had his ups and downs if you followed his story, but rest in peace. So that's how I wanted to start the show with a little, hey, yo. It was always one of my favorite. Just a simple line, but, got the crowd going. But welcome in to the show here at Woodward Bets. Me and Scott back at it again. Thank you to Spencer for stepping in. I got to give Spencer some dap. I mean, he comes on the show. You guys crush the best bets, but this guy calls Karl Anthony Towns as the play of the night. Karl Anthony Towns only goes out there and scores about 1,000 fantasy points. I mean, 60 on the board for Karl Anthony Towns. So Spencer may have to get him on the show more often here. So way to go on that. But the plan for the show today, we'll talk a little Pistons in the NBA tonight. Just 4 games, so we'll break that down for you. Talk a little bit of hockey, but the meat of the show is going to be the NCAA brackets. And we're going to start getting into some of these regions, upsets we like, some of the bets we like. We'll break down 2 regions today and 2 tomorrow to get you all set for your tournament brackets. And speaking of brackets, we have a bracket contest going on, woodwardsportsbracket.com, free to play, $1,000 to first place for whoever takes this thing down. Pizza party from Papa Romano's one of the prizes, so glad to be going with that, so make sure you check it out. Our entries are in. I saw Scott's in there, mine's in there, so woodwardsportsbracket.com. Scott, I've yapped enough here, my friend. How are you today?
Oh, man, I can't complain. I was letting you go there, that wrestling reference. I mean, Beer, man, I was a wrestling fan, too, back then when they had, NWO going on, the Wolfpack thing going on with those guys. That was, like the pinnacle in wrestling back then. And then you could flip on, Raw on the other side, and it was just as good, WWE against, all that was some good times back then, man. Some good Monday nights, that's for sure. Definitely will miss Scott Hall. Yes, he did have some issues. I'm sure there'll probably be a 30 for 30 on him. I can almost guarantee you that. But, yeah, sad day for the wrestling world, that's for sure. But Beer, yeah, great night having Spencer on. We had a lot of fun talking about, everything that was going on. And Spencer does nail Karl Anthony Towns. Our picks did pretty well. So overall, we did pretty good. We can't complain. But we're going to continue that. And, we're going to talk some brackets. I was digging into some things. And, yeah, somebody from the Woodward Bets team, man, we're going to take down this contest. And you know what, Beer, man? They already threw up some. Do you see they threw up a little piece of meat up on the table for us employees here at Woodward Sports? They want us, to kind of all get up with each other. They got to stand a damn chance against you and I and Spencer here. I mean, one of us three. I mean, the Woodward Bets. I mean, Spencer may, take claim for the heavyweight, but we'll put them under our umbrella here, Beer Man. But the one of us 4 are going to ship that thing here. I don't care what they think here. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. We'll call them all out right now. If they want some, we'll bet lunch, whatever you want. It's on.
Bring it, as they say. We'll stick with wrestling. Our good friend The Rock always told you to bring it. So, yeah, I mean, we've played in bracket things for a long time, you and I, and we've seen the damage that we can do. So, calling our shot now, and hopefully if it's not one of us, it's one of our great listeners out there. If you are listening on YouTube, welcome in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. That helps us out tremendously over there. Subscribe as well. Follow all the other great shows here on the Woodward Sports Network as well. Some great content all throughout the day. If you are on Twitter, make sure you're following our page over there at Woodward Bets. Scott, before we get into NBA, hockey, March Madness, I want to talk a little bit of football. We'll start with some local news. The Lions active today. Assigned wide receiver DJ Chark, formerly of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this is a 1-year deal. Sounds like with incentives up to $12 million. And I really like this for the Lions. Now, we can get into some of the concerns here. We won't spend a ton of time on this as I want to get to some of the basketball here. But I like the 1-year prove-it deal here. This is a guy we've seen tremendous flashes from. I mean, as a rookie, I think he outproduced what anyone thought he would do coming out of LSU. But he's dealt with injuries. He's dealt with a lot of underperforming in that Jacksonville offense. The other issue I worry about is his main weapon is a deep threat. Well, that's not the strength of Jared Goff's game. Now, maybe this opens things up for the guys underneath, the TJ Hawkinsons, the Amon-Ra St. Browns of the world. But I love the 1-year signing here. See if he's a piece. If he's not, hey, you move on, you start again next year. Your thoughts here, DJ Chark, signed by your Detroit Lions today.
Yeah, when I first saw that, my first thing was, good. They're building depth at wide receiver. I don't expect him to come in and be an all-pro or anything like that. But you know what? To me, Beer, like in baseball analogy for a pitcher, it's a guy that's going to eat up some innings, can get some catches for you, maybe, spread things out where the teams know that, we're just not going to focus on Amos St. Ray Brown or Hawkinson. So, yeah, get another guy in the room that knows how to run routes, is an experienced receiver. I think you can't go wrong here. It didn't seem like they broke the bank for anybody yet, but we'll see. I just think getting pro level talent, especially a team like the Lions here, if you can get a guy like that and he's going to come in and want to play, he was already recruiting even as well here for the team. So hey, good. Sounds like so far he's a decent locker room guy. I've heard good things about him from others, so hopefully he fits in here. But yeah, good signing by the Lions. It didn't tickle it too much though, Beer Man. But I was just happy they got a veteran.
I like it. I mean, again, it's somebody that's shown they can play in this league. Can he stay healthy is the biggest question mark. It doesn't cost you a lot. You're not tied into him for a long time. I mean, I compare that deal to, say, the Christian Kirk deal that we saw yesterday, which kind of blew me away here. And this feels like a steal. I know a lot of people out there clamoring for Allen Robinson to come back home here. That one, he's seeking in that $20 million range, which, it's a guy that hasn't really been productive here over the last couple seasons. Sure, he's been elite. Have we seen it lately, though, is my issue with Allen Robinson. So, as much as we want him here, as a lot of Lions fans, it's a lot of talk that I'm hearing. I actually like this signing. Add him to what you have. We saw them commit to Josh Reynolds as well, who has a nice rapport with Jared Goff. Swift out of the backfield. Maybe you draft a guy second round, third round. I think your receiving room is looking much better by this signing here. So I don't think Allen Robinson's a must. Feels like an overspend. I think this was the shrewd move here by this organization. So good signing. Also bringing back Charles Harris on a 2-year deal. So Lions very active today. A couple other minor signings here in the NFL. Sounds like J.D. McKissic going to go from Washington over to Buffalo. So that you're going to add to that nightmare in that backfield. James White back with New England. We saw some movement by the Dolphins yesterday, making some signings. Chase Edmonds added to that roster. Cedric Wilson, formerly of the Cowboys, also down in Miami. And some rumors, Scott, it's heating up on the Deshaun Watson front. Apparently Cleveland now in the mix, along with Atlanta, who has been called a sleeper here. So real quick thoughts on any of those other NFL nuggets, especially Watson. I mean, we're talking teams that have their supposed franchise quarterbacks in place, Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, sniffing around here in Deshaun Watson.
I mean, Deshaun Watson, everybody would agree. I mean, he's a special talent, even though he's got a little black cloud over his head, obviously, for his off-field issues. But, I mean, still, you get that guy in the field. He's a special guy. I mean, he's just somebody that can turn around a franchise real quick. If you got a mid-level on a borderline franchise, I mean, you don't have a quarterback that you're happy with. Obviously a good team like Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland a couple years ago, Beer, man, everybody was, calling them to win the Super Bowl and blah, blah, blah. And here they've gone nowhere really but backwards here. So, to me, adding a guy like Deshaun Watson, that may be very well what they need. But, we'll see what happens. I've seen some people saying, would the Lions sign him? And I can't see Sheila Ford signing a guy like Deshaun Watson or going after somebody like that. But, like you mentioned with Shark, the Lions, they need to start building within. And I think if they would have spent too much money on a wide receiver, it's just kind of spreading their resources a little bit too much. I think they need to try to build as they're doing with the offensive line, defensive line, maybe put some more resources in that defense. And then maybe here when they get a little closer, I think adding a high-level receiver at this point is more of a luxury. I think they need to put that money into that defense. And then if not, just put it in the beef, either offensive side or the defensive side. Get some big boys and build from within is what I'd be doing. I kind of think that's the plan they're on. So I'm glad, showing that they signed Shark. They didn't, relent to any kind of pressure. Got to sign the hometown guy for 20-some million when they really didn't need it, like we were saying, a luxury. So good for Holmes for sticking to the plan, and hopefully we can do well in the draft and build that defense.
Yeah, no doubt. So, DJ Chark, we're talking to you. If you need that new mortgage or you're moving into the Detroit area, well, I got good news for you, my friend. A Better Rate Mortgage, family more than blood. So, again, anyone out there, not just DJ Chark, if you're looking for that new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, get treated better with Better Rate Mortgage. You can visit them online, mybetterrate.com, or give them a call today, 248-480-4467. Better advice, better service, better experience. That, of course, is Better Rate Mortgage. All right, Scott, let's talk some NBA here tonight. Again, only 4 games in the association, but your Detroit Pistons, and I'm calling them your Detroit Pistons, my friend. You have been absolutely on fire with the Pistons picks, and this team been red hot against the spread. I mean, scorching hot, white hot maybe is more like it here with the Detroit Pistons. So are you going back to the well here once again tonight? We'll start with the Pistons. Then we'll get into some of the injuries on the scene, and we'll cover DFS real quick. But thoughts on this game tonight to Pistons and the Miami Heat?
Beer, man. I mean, every time the Pistons play, you can just do this, Beer. It's like you're just getting money. It's absolutely incredible. They've been absolutely the hottest team in sports covering the spread. They've covered 11 in a row. They've actually been covering the same amount at the halftime, Beer, and actually winning the halftime when they've been dogs by 5-6 points. So been really doing well in both parts of the game there. But I mean, Beer, every time the Pistons are on, I'm just going to keep playing them until they burn me. And we've been going on now almost 2 weeks here. So we're just going to keep riding it. I mean, how can you not? Even like I said, if they burn me once, I'll probably still even go back to it until they burn me a couple times. But I mean, they've been so hot. I don't know how you cannot. They're going down to Miami. So hopefully those boys stay out of the fun bars and everything down there and don't get themselves in any kind of trouble. But, yeah, looking forward to another Piston game here today. They're getting 13 points. Get out of here. They're not going to lose by 13 to the Heat.
Yeah, this is heat on heat here. I mean, a red-hot team going down and playing the actual Miami Heat here. So, yeah, this line feels a little bit too much. Seeing mostly 13s out there. There is a 13.5 available at BetMGM. So we always talk about why not take the extra hook, shop around, find the best line. So that there, as far as a money line goes, if you really want to get bold here, my friend, plus 650 on your Pistons. Now, I don't know about that one. Miami, maybe the best team in the Eastern Conference. Record-wise, they certainly are. But if you want to get froggy there, we're talking a 6.5 to 1 return on your money if the Pistons can pull off this upset. I would prefer to take the points. I know that attacking the first half has been something that you talk about as well. I mean, we've seen them play well. It's the inability at the end of the game to close things out. So plenty of options here with the Detroit Pistons. So, Scott, anything else there? We also have Cade Cunningham on a hell of a tear. Now, the problem is Cade is questionable here for tonight, dealing with an illness. So if he's out, we'll talk about some of that with the DFS plays. But if he's in there, he's on a tear right now. I mean, this guy's scoring 20 points. I believe it's at 7 or 8 games in a row, a rookie record here. So thoughts on any of the props real quick here on the Pistons?
Yeah, Cade's looking real good. I mean, yeah, if he's going to be in there today, his streak of 20 points has been incredible. And then, too, you talked about that first half. The Pistons are getting 8.5 points in the first half in the FanDuel Sportsbook minus 114. So, I mean, they're getting 8.5. We've seen that they played really well in all the halves. It's just that fourth quarter, they seem to let games get away from them here. But, yeah, absolutely with Cade, just kind of looking at exactly what he's got here in his player points. Over 19.5, minus 110 beer. So, hey, if you think he's going to keep scoring 20 points, it's right there teasing you at 19.5, even money. So, or at minus 110, straight up bet. So, I think that's a good bet. I don't know how you can't ride it. We've been seeing it's the same thing like with the Red Wings. I mean, you just kind of got to look at it for a long-term little adventure here. We've been keep riding the Pistons. We can afford a loss or two and still be ahead on our little streak here. So I think this is another one of these situations here with Cade. You just got to keep riding it until it shows otherwise. I mean, that's just any kind of betting is about streaks. So to me, let's just ride the streak and learn to identify them and keep rolling with them.
Yeah, checking the latest odds on the Rookie of the Year. We always love to check in on that. I heard you guys talking yesterday that you felt he was the favorite. I certainly agree that he should be a lot closer. The sportsbooks, however, are not in agreement with your guys' viewpoint as of yesterday. Evan Mobley still remains the runaway favorite here at minus 470 in the FanDuel Sportsbook. Now, Cade's coming up. He's plus 500. I believe we checked in a couple weeks ago. He's plus 800. Last week, plus 600. So it is starting to swing a little bit. I don't know if it's too late now for him to overtake Mobley. We saw Mobley have a great night the other night, scored a career-high 30 points. So he's playing extremely well. It should be close. Still think it's Mobley, but I don't hate a 5-1 shot here on Cade Cunningham. So still some value there if you wanted to get in on that Rookie of the Year race here with Cade. So let's take a quick look at the rest of the NBA, Scott. As far as injuries go, Ja Morant not sounding good, likely out tonight, dealing with that back injury. So unfortunate there, but a lot of usage to go around here from Memphis, highlighted by Tyus Jones. Will be filling in at point guard. Chris Paul remains out for Phoenix, so Cameron Payne will continue to get big minutes at point guard. CJ McCollum back in the lineup here for New Orleans tonight. They'll be without Brandon Ingram again, so at least get one of their studs back. Malcolm Brogdon in the concussion protocol. He is questionable. We mentioned Cade Cunningham's questionable. Isaiah Stewart not on the injury report, so it sounds like he'll be back. Jalen Suggs out with Orlando, and Miles Turner remains on the shelf for Indiana. So DFS, Scott, where are we going tonight? Who is it? A spend-up day? Is it a save day? Again, I mentioned Tyus Jones, good value there. Dylan Brooks, another solid value. And CJ McCollum back in that lineup. Looks like a solid option here in the mid-range without Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, with Memphis being down, Ja, like you mentioned, all that usage, Indiana's going to be pretty short too with their bench guys. But Tyus Jones, he's a guy you're going to have to look at. He's only 4,200. Definitely look at him. But I'm just kind of looking around. If Cade plays, I do like Cade today. You mentioned C.J. McCollum without Ingram. The usage is going to be up there. He's only 8,500. He's going to be a main guy they're going to look to put some points in the net. You could look at Drummond, who, as a real-life player, he's not that good, but as a DFS player for 5,500, he can sure get you some blocks and some rebounds. So I don't mind him as well in your lineups. But Desmond Bane, another guy. Cole Anthony is another guy you could look at. But, Buddy Hield maybe is somebody you could look at too. But, just really for me, got to look at that Memphis spot. A lot of value there, and then get you some guys there that you could pay up for.
Yeah, absolutely. So my lineups are starting with Tyus Jones. It's too good to ignore a cheap point guard that's going to play minutes, has the ball in his hands. This is the most easily projectable sport, and I say easy in comparison to baseball, to football. Those are much harder to project. When a guy's getting minutes, we know the usage rates, things like that. Basketball becomes a little bit easier. So Tyus Jones, great value there. My spend would be C.J. McCollum, and then you can kill it in the mid-range. You mentioned a lot of names. If Cade's in there, certainly like him. The price up to 7,400 on FanDuel, but I don't think that's high enough, even in a tough matchup with this Miami defense. Cole Anthony was a name you mentioned without Jalen Suggs. That's his kind of backcourt partner. Even Franz Wagner there should see some extra usage. And then Memphis, I'd still hammer it home beyond Tyus Jones. So with a guy like Dylan Brooks, even Desmond Bane taking on more of that scoring responsibility for Memphis. So just kind of highlighting some of the best plays here to get your lineup started for tonight. Scott, let's turn our attention to the NHL. 11 games. So we'll just focus on the Red Wings here at Edmonton. The Oilers, huge favorites in this one. Minus 251, Scott, 6.5 on that total. So any thoughts on the Wings? Can they pull the upset here? This one may be even higher here. Let me check the latest lines, but floating between 250, 280 here in favor of the Oilers. Sounds like the Wings got their work cut out for them tonight.
Yeah, the Red Wings do have their work cut out for them. We've just seen them struggle. They just keep giving up goals left and right, which it's been pretty tough. We've seen 9 goals, 10 goals, 7 goals, but the Red Wings have hit 5 out of their last 6 against the Western Conference. They've struggled against teams as a road underdog here. They're only 16-68 beer, so they've only won 16 of their last 84 games as a road underdog here. So I don't think anything's going to change here. I think you could actually take Edmonton minus 1.5 goals in this one and feel pretty good about it. If not, I like to bet sometimes the first period here, just kind of looking. A lot of times you can get the first period minus like 1.5 goals or over 1.5 goals. And I do like that first period goals over 1.5 minus 152. I think that juice a little high just kind of looking at it. But sometimes I like to look at that too. A lot of times you see 2 goals in the first period. But yeah, give me the Oilers here. No way. I don't see the Red Wings really competing with Edmonton, and I think the Connor McDavid and the boys throw up some goals here tonight.
Yeah, tough task for sure. I mean, this one's been up in the 300s as far as odds go. So it looks like it's settled in or around 250 if you're on the Red Wings. A lot of plus 210s out there, plus 225 at BetMGM. So that's your best odds there. And that goal line at 6.5. So I kind of like the over here, Scott. The way that defense has been for the Red Wings lately, they're not slowing anybody down. So the other team can get there. We've talked about this when we've had Beastie on the show. Edmonton could score 6-7 goals on their own. So until the Red Wings show they can slow anybody down, I think the over, even at this high number, I mean, 6.5, about the highest that you're going to see in hockey against a bad defensive team, still makes sense. So I'm going to go with the over rather than lay that heavy juice here on Edmonton. I agree with you. Oilers likely win this game in most scenarios here. I'm just going to root for the goals here no matter how that goes. Even if Detroit were able to pull the upset, which I don't think is likely, I do think we get a lot of scoring in this one. So I'm going to go over 6.5 goals. So let's get into the NCAA tournament here, Scott. Before we do that, why don't you give the people a little word about one of our other fine sponsors of the show here, and that's Jars Cannabis.
Yep, jarscannabis.com. Medical recreational retailer located throughout Michigan. They have all sorts of varieties for any of the lifestyle needs, but they got delivery, in-store shopping, and in-store. You could actually curbside pickup as well. So, but in there, they got a lot of nice bud tenders in there. Everybody's really friendly. Got some great deals. As I said, old schooler like me, watching these dispensaries come up, I always thought, oh, that's the place where you got to pay a high price. And I was pleasantly surprised to see what was going on as far as pricing wise. So a lot of good material, a lot of good stuff in there, great value. So I really appreciate heading on in there and having them a part of the show. But jarscannabis.com, make sure you guys are checking them out.
Absolutely. So great sponsor to the show here. Before we get into the brackets, we're going to break down the East and the West regions here. Our quick thoughts on some of the games, some upsets. Get those brackets going for you guys. One more quick word from our sponsors at Better Rate Mortgage.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
All right, bracket time, baby. We are going to do the East and the West side here today. We'll do the other two brackets regions tomorrow. So kind of balance things out here. But, Scott, let's dive into this. Just quick thoughts, any trends that we're seeing here. Let's start in the East region. We'll start up top. We got Baylor and Norfolk State here, 21 points on the spread here in favor of the Baylor Bears. Obviously, been dominant all season long. Norfolk, a lot of seniors on this team. They've won 15 of their last 17 games since 2022 started. So team that's obviously playing well, but a huge mismatch here. I think most brackets obviously moving Baylor on. As far as a bet goes, 21 too high, too low? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Beer, you know what? Like we said, when we coming into this tournament, we want to be looking at some underdogs here. We know that this is the most publicly influenced sporting event of the year. So if you're a dog better, you're going to get a few bonus points here along the way. So, you look at this one here, 21 points. I'd rather just take those 21 points. I think Baylor would move on. But, just give me the points here in that one, Beer. I think it's just way too many points. A lot of times here you see, teams could even get down. They could get down by 30, make a late run, whatever else here. But I just think that's way too many.
Yeah, a couple trends here. Going to highlight a few trends in each of these games for you. Norfolk State 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 Thursday games. Kind of, interesting there. Also 10-2-1 against the number in their last 13 neutral site games. Baylor 7-0 in their last 7 against a team with a winning record above 60%, and the over is 6-1 in Norfolk's last 7 games, again following an against the spread win. So Some interesting trends there. I'm with you. I'd probably take the points here. Baylor wins this game, 99.9% of the time if they played 100 times. I think Norfolk hangs in again. Seniors is what really stands out for me. A team that has a bunch of experience can at least hang in this game. So give me the points. Baylor probably cruises, but I'm going to go with the plus 20 or some plus 21.5 even available out there. So Baylor moves on. Norfolk State with the cover. North Carolina, Marquette up next. An interesting 8-9 game here, Scott. Thoughts on this one? A very close spread here. North Carolina, obviously the tougher conference here. Marquette's been solid. Some nice wins on their resume here. Thoughts on this one? We got Carolina -3. Both of these teams right around 500 against the spread this season.
Yeah, Beer, when I'm in these tough matchups here that I like to look at, the first thing I go to is defensive efficiency. And defensive efficiency basically is how many points do they give up defensively in 100 possessions. Same thing, offensive efficiency as well, based off 100 possessions. So to me, I think it's a really good gauge. You look at Beer, there's some trends, or strong trends here about defensive efficiency with teams making it to the Final Four and moving on through the tournament. So you're just kind of looking at these two teams. You look, they're an 8 and a 9 seed. But in the defensive efficiency columns here, you got to look at Carolina is at 94 here, I believe. And then you got who they got here? They got Marquette here, and they're at 26. So, yeah, so just kind of looking, there's a huge discrepancy in the defense here. Marquette's a better team defensively. So with, a huge gap like that, being an 8-9 seed, I'm taking the better defensive team in this spot.
Yeah, this one's tough. Marquette's one of my teams. They're based out of Milwaukee. A lot of people may not know that, but they're kind of my secondary team all the way back to the Dwayne Wade days here. But I'm going with North Carolina here, Scott. I know it's been an up and down year, but we've seen them play well here towards the end of the season. Big win at Duke, shutting down Coach K's big party. 5 straight wins to close the season. Marquette, it's really been up and down. No consistency to this team at all. So I worry about that here in this matchup with a much more explosive North Carolina team. As far as trends, there are some trends that Marquette is looking good. 7-1 against the number in their last 8 as an underdog. So you certainly like that. North Carolina 4-0-1 against the number in their last 5 games, following against the spread loss. 5-1-1 in their last 7 against the team with a winning straight-up record. So they played well against good teams, not necessarily top 25 teams. Not a great record there for North Carolina, but these are always tough, these 8-9s. And normally I like the points when I'm undecided here. I just think North Carolina is the better of these two teams, as much as I hate to say it here. So I got Carolina moving on here, and I like Carolina, especially you can get a 2.5. I'm certainly moving on here with the North Carolina Tar Heels. Next matchup we got here in this bracket, number 5, St. Mary's, who I've come on in here and said I think can make a run at this thing. Now they're going to play the winner of this Miami Indiana play-in game. And Scott, a lot of years we've seen these play-in teams do well because they have that one game under their belt already. They come in, the jitters are gone. They're ready to roll. The other team, sometimes it can be a little tight, but St. Mary's, maybe one of the best defensive teams we have in this field here. A very underrated team, a team that looks like they're straight out of the YMCA here. It's kind of captures my heart a little bit as an old guy, but I got St. Mary's here. I think the tougher matchup will be Wyoming, a team that's been very solid this season, but Indiana, no slouch as well here in the Big Ten.
Yeah, you mentioned St. Mary's Bear. Looking at the defensive efficiency, they're 9th. They're in the top 10 in defensive efficiency, which is something that stands out at tournament time. But looking here at this Indiana-Wyoming game, Beer, that's tonight here. I think that's a pretty good bet tonight. I actually like Wyoming taking those 4 points. I just think this is going to be a one-possession game. I'd rather have the points here in this spot. And then moving on, I'm not saying Indiana. Indiana very well may win by a point or 2 here and move on. But either way, I think St. Mary's would beat either team here. I got St. Mary's moving on no matter who they play. I know Indiana has become, Beer, a lot of people's tournament underdog, darling here, that people think is going to move on because they saw what they did in the Big Ten tournament. But I just don't think they have the offensive horses for it. So give me St. Mary's to move on.
All right, next up we got number 4 UCLA taking on Akron. This game will be Thursday night, so one of the late games here. And UCLA, obviously one of the better teams in the country, and I got some thoughts on UCLA here, Scott, but a lot of experience with this team. We saw them make a run last season, bringing back some of their better players, Johnny Juzang, Jamie Jacquez back with them. Akron, solid on defense, no doubt, but I don't know that they're going to be able to slow UCLA enough here. UCLA size is going to be a problem as well. They only have one starter under 6'7", so some big size here for Akron to deal with. Do the Zips have it in them, Scott? Can they pull an upset? Even if you're moving UCLA on, where do you come in on a bet in this one?
Yeah, I mean, the Zips here, I mean, they've been actually faring pretty well against the spread here recently. UCLA has been basically playing to a tune of a bunch of overs here in their last recent games here. But the Bruins are 6-0 in their last 6 NCAA tournament games here. So, but I think UCLA is a little bit more seasoned. I actually like UCLA to move on here. So give me UCLA, but Beer, those 14 points, like I said, I'm going to try to do my best to stay away from these teams giving away this many points. If I just don't like it and don't think the other side, I'm just going to stay away. There's so many other things that we can take and bet on. But I'm going to try to stay away from the temptation of taking these favorites here. I'm going to try to go pretty much 90% dogs in this whole tournament.
Yeah, it looks like Akron seeing a little bit more than half of the bets, and it makes sense. I'm with you. As much as I like UCLA, and I think they can make a very deep run in this tournament, that 14 points feels like a little much. Both these teams were very good against the spread, 17-14 on the season here. Some solid trends there, like you mentioned, with UCLA. But Akron's no slouch here. So I think they battle. I prefer going Akron in the points, UCLA moving on here in the bracket. Next game, we got Texas, number 6, against Virginia Tech, number 11. And Scott, I'm calling upset alert on this one. I mean, Virginia Tech, a team playing very well. We saw them beat Duke, knock them out of the tournament, and win the ACC tournament. For them to be an 11 seed feels a little bit much. So I think they're being a little bit underrated here. Got some good senior leadership there with Aluma. I'd like this team to take out Texas. The problem is Texas got some experience on its own. Timmy Allen, Andrew Jones, some seniors there that can get things done. The Longhorns obviously very, very good on the defensive side of the ball. I know that's something that you're obviously big on. You've talked about here multiple times. So what gives here? A good defensive team in Texas, a team playing red hot right now in Virginia Tech.
Yeah, this one here, you just kind of look at, these two teams. Texas has been struggling against the spread. They're 0-6 their last 6 games overall against the spread. They're 0-8 against the spread in their last NCAA tournament games as a favorite as well. So they haven't done too well in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, the Hokies been coming in here red hot, won their last 3 in a row. They beat Duke, UNC, and Notre Dame. So not like they beat some slouches in Pierre, man. They smoked Duke. They beat them by 15 there and at the end of that ACC tournament. So obviously they're playing pretty well. I think they're going to continue to play well. So give me Virginia Tech in this spot.
Yeah, I'm on Virginia Tech here as well. I mean, this spread has really been on the move. Opened up Texas -4. We're down to 1 in most places. Still some 1.5s out there. So if you are on Virginia Tech, grab those 1.5s. Obviously, I don't hate the money line here either. If you are on Texas, obviously seek out those -1s right now at DraftKings, FanDuel, and PointsBet, all sitting with the Longhorns 1-point favorites here. But this is one, again, I feel comfortable moving Virginia Tech along in my bracket here. I think they beat Texas outright and move on. Next up, we got Purdue, number 3 in this region against 14-seeded Yale, who pulled the upset over Princeton to make it in. Scott, this is offense here. Purdue, top-ranked offense in the entire country. So, we talk about defense, but offense can carry you a long way as well, led by Jaden Ivey, Zach Edey, Tavion Williams. I mean, they got a lot of firepower on this team. The problem is they're outside the top 100 in defense here, Scott. So, again, do you prefer the offense here that's elite, top in the country, or is it the defense that's going to reign supreme here? But we always see these Ivy League teams. Sometimes they hang. Sometimes they are outmatched here. I think this is simply a David versus Goliath type of situation here. But that being said, I think Purdue moves on. I don't mind grabbing the points here with Yale.
Yeah, I think the same way. I think here the Yale, I think that's just a little bit too many points. We've been seeing here Purdue struggling to cover the spread here at the end of the season here. They have not been too good here. 0-6-1 in their last 7 games here against the spread. So just kind of looking at Yale. Yale is 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games overall. And like you said, sometimes these Ivy League teams are pesky here. I expect them to put up a fight. I think that's just too many points. But yeah, give me Yale in the 15.5, and also Beer. I actually do like the under here in this one, the under 143. I think Yale could struggle to put up some points. You could end up seeing like a 70 to like 58 games, something like that. Where they maybe win by 12. But I think that 143 is a bit too high.
Yeah, I'm with you on the under. A couple trends on that as well. 5-1 in Purdue's last 6 overall, which is kind of surprising with a team as good offensively. The thing is, they set the number so high on these Purdue games that the unders are coming in. Also 5-1 in their last 6 as a favorite. Yale under 5-0 in their last 5 overall. So a lot of trends here on that under. I agree with you. I think that's likely the way to go here in this one. Next game. Murray State and San Francisco, a couple smaller, off the radar teams here. Murray State, the 7, San Francisco, the 10. So I think these are the ones, people struggle with. They don't know a lot about these teams. Murray State, that record looks sterling, 30-2, 20-game winning streak coming into this one, led by big man KJ Williams there in the middle. But San Francisco, no slouch here, Scott. They're very good offensively and defensively, ranked very well on Ken Palm, one of my favorite sites to look at and get into some of these teams here. But San Francisco sitting 21 in the Ken Palm ratings. We have Murray State at 27. So these two teams, no slouches here. I'm on the Dons here. I think San Francisco going to be a team not a lot of people look at. That record here, when most people are filling out brackets, Scott, and you guys talked about this yesterday, and they don't know much about these teams, that 30-2 is going to be tough for people to ignore. So when you're in these pools, those are the kind of things I'm thinking about when it's teams that not a lot of people know a lot about. This San Francisco team, the record does not look good. They are much better than this record indicates. I like them to win this game. I like betting on them. I like moving them on here past this 30-2 Murray State team.
Beer Man, you just gave the recipe away to everybody that I like to use. I was kind of joking around. Actually was telling Spencer before we even came on, the word of the day is Ken Palm. I mean, that's much for me. The stats I like to look at, I'd like to check it out. I already had this one down, Beer, as one of my favorite bets of the tournament so far, and that being the San Francisco Dons. I mean, you look at it here, their defensive ranking, they're pretty much doubled them up here, 19 to 40. As you mentioned, they're 6 to 7 point different in the rankings. And you look at that 30-2 team. I think everybody is going to be on that. It's a perfect spot here to get away from what most of the public's going to see. They're going to see that great record, and they're all going to jump on Murray State. I'm going to go the other way. Give me all of it here. I'll take the San Francisco Dons. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give me one of them King Dons, one of them little chocolate things, them Hostess. I bet you those things taste real good out of the freezer after visiting jars.
Absolutely. 70% of the bets coming in on Murray State. So don't sleep on this San Francisco team. Very good on both sides of the ball. One of my favorite upset picks as well. All right, let's finish this one with Kentucky and St. Peter's here, the 2-15 matchup here. We know Kentucky, one of the odds-on favorites to win this game. I mean, they are loaded up offensively, defensively, very good on the offensive side of the ball. St. Peter's got off to a slow start to the season. Lost 6 of their first 9, but they're put it together here, winning 7 straight games. So very good defense here. I think they're outmatched. So we know Kentucky likely moving on here, Scott. That's obviously not a shocker, but are we wanting to take the points here with St. Peter's, or are you rolling with the Wildcats?
I mean, I like I said here, I'd take Kentucky, but I'm just going to stay away from these games, try to stay away from these games, Beer, and be a little bit more disciplined. I think I'd just rather stay away than lay these big points here. I can't see any reason why I'd want to take the Peacocks here in this spot here. I mean, even some of the trends here, they do look interesting. They're 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 neutral sites as an underdog. They're 11-2 in their last 13 game neutral site games. But I just think Kentucky's way too athletic. I think one of the guys, that are probably deeper on the bench is probably more of a highly recruited guy than they got over there on the other side. So for me, give me Kentucky. Kentucky has struggled here recently. in their last neutral site games. But you know what, Beer? When they're playing in their neutral site games, they're playing an SEC tournament and they're playing a little higher competition here. So give me Kentucky in this spot to win the game. But as far as the point spread go, I think I'd just rather leave it alone. I do like Kentucky. If I had to bet it, I'd probably go Kentucky, maybe to win by 20. But I just, like I said, I'm going to try to stay away from stuff like that this time.
Yeah, I'm off this one as well. I would love to kind of find something in each game. I know people, that's what they're looking for, but I just don't see the edge here. I think the spread pretty close on this one. One note on Kentucky, as far as normally they're a team, Scott, we've seen the one and done. The freshmen come in and be very dominant in these lineups, but they have a lot of upperclassmen on this team, which is very rare for a Kentucky team, not graduating people to the NBA each and every season. So that certainly can help as far as their run towards a title here. I do think they win. I think they win handily. That being said, it's a lot of points, so I'm with you. Just going to stay away from this one. All right, let's move to the West region here. Start breaking down another side of the bracket here. Gonzaga, Georgia State leading us off. Gonzaga, the number one team in the country and in this tournament, so a tough task here for Georgia State. But another team like St. Peter's, started off slow, but they've won 12 of their last 13 games here, Scott. Got a senior guard by the name of Corey Allen, who's been scoring at a high clip here, 29 points in each of the last two games here. But we know the story with Gonzaga. I mean, Chet Holmgren, a stud freshman, Drew Timme back from last season's team, both in the running here for the National Player of the Year. King Georgia State, we know they're not winning this game, or it would be a very shocking upset. I ask again, do we want to bet them on the spread here? Very big number in favor of Gonzaga. What are you doing with this one?
Yeah, it's a big number too. I mean, I would lean Gonzaga. You look at all the measures. I mean, Gonzaga's ranked in the top 10 in defensive measures that we've been talking about. They're actually number 7. You go all the way down to Georgia State here, and they are 114. So, I mean, they're just not on the same level as a Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga here wins easily, wins handily. But, I mean, that 23 points, they could win by 20, and to them that's still a blowout, and they're still not covering the spread. So I don't like that. If I was going to bet on this game, Beer, I think I would just take Gonzaga in the first half and move on. And any of these big favorites, I think that's probably your best bet. Take a team in the first half instead of waiting at the end of these games here if they're big and up ahead, by a bunch here. You never know how it could play out. So I think I would rather just take on these big favorites and bet on them in the first half.
I like Georgia State in the points here. I think they're pesky enough. They've been good against the number, 8-1-1 against the spread in their last 10. I know the level of competition, obviously not what they're going to see here with Gonzaga, but I think they're good enough. Anytime I hear senior guard, my ears perk up, especially when that can score, hit the threes. These are some of the things that you need to make an upset, to make a run in a tournament. Again, likely not winning this game. In fact, I pretty much put Gonzaga in Sharpie moving on in the bracket. But with the points here, I think I'm rolling with Georgia State. Next up, we got the 8-9 matchup here, Boise State and Memphis. So we know the story of Memphis, Scott. Started out at 500. Things weren't looking good. We know Amani Bates down there, local kid. But they've been on a tear ever since, winning 10 of their last 11 games. This Boise State team, though, very good on the defensive side of things, very good rebounding the ball as well. So what gives here? A solid offense with Memphis, a defense here with Boise State. I think I know where you're leaning here with the defensive side of things. With thoughts on this one, Boise and Memphis?
Yeah, Beer. I mean, this is another one. I always look at these 8-9 matchups pretty thorough. And, Boise State, you mentioned Ken Pom, they're 26. Memphis is 28, so they're pretty close in that. The defensive rating, as you mentioned, 17 for Boise State, and then we got 31 for Memphis. So with that being said, I'm just going to use that as my guide there, and I'm going to go with Boise State in this matchup. So give me the Boise State and the blue turf, or do they got a blue court over there?
I don't think so. I like that blue turf, though. Maybe they do. I haven't seen enough Boise State hoops to know, but that'd be pretty sweet. I'm with you on Boise State on that one. I think they get it done. All right, let's move to this one. Seems like a very trendy upset pick here, Scott. New Mexico State and UConn up next here, the 5-12. You're going to hear all about how the 12s are always an upset alert here. UConn, though, is loaded up, Scott, with guys I think are going to end up in the NBA. The problem is they don't really shoot the ball well, and we can see teams go cold in the tournament and cost them. Now, New Mexico State, on the other side of things, they got some guards that are very good here, headlined by Teddy Allen and Serge Rice. I love that name, one of my favorite names. So these guys can get it done. Do they have enough, though? Do they have enough to get this upset done? I still think UConn wins this game. We've seen about a 7-point spread on this one. UConn been awful against the spread this season, 13-18, 17-12 for New Mexico State. So a lot of people talking about this one, Scott. Are you on board with the upset here? If not, are you taking the points here with the Aggies?
Yeah, Beer, I think I'm going to take the points here with the Aggies. Give me the points. They're 11-2 in their last 13 games against a team with a winning percentage above 600. So all the teams that they're playing that are pretty good here, obviously they're covering against. I like that. The Aggies are 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games as an underdog. And as you mentioned, UConn's only 2-7-1 in their last 10 against the spread. They have not fared well against the spread coming down the slate here, but I think UConn moves on, Beer, but I think this one might be a 1 or 2 possession game. So give me all those points. I'll take those all day.
All right, let's go to another one where we're seeing a lot of upset picks. And this one I get behind a little bit more here with Vermont and Arkansas. A very interesting matchup, the 4-13 here in this region. Now, we know Arkansas been on an absolute tear here, been playing well. J.D. Notte, one of the best guards in all of basketball and all of America. Very aggressive offensively is this team. But Vermont very balanced, Scott. They're good offensively and defensively, winning 22 their last 23 games here. So thoughts on this one? Spread pretty low, sitting around 5 here. Again, I think most people, they walk up to a sports book, they're going to look at this. How can this only be a 5-point spread? Arkansas is going to run away with this thing. I really like the bet on Vermont here. You're seeing a lot of support with the Razorbacks like we just talked about. I think Vermont can pull the upset here and win the game outright. So I like them with the points. I don't hate a money line play, and I don't mind moving them along in my bracket either.
Yeah, Vermont's covered their last 6 out of 8, and they've been absolutely spanking people. 82-43, 74-42, 98-59, 75-56. I mean, they have just been rolling people here. Their margin of victory is really high here. I do like Vermont actually in this spot against Arizona. So give me Vermont in the points here. I'll take those points all day.
All right, next up, 6-11 matchup. Alabama going to face the winner of the Rutgers-Notre Dame play-in game. So a little tough to get much analysis here, Scott, but any thoughts here on Alabama mainly? A team that, they struggled a little bit, losing 3 of their last 4. Very strong season, though. Beat Gonzaga this year, beat Houston this year. Thoughts on Alabama and then that play-in game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rutgers is going to win that play-in game, and then I would say here, I mean, they better watch out for Rutgers, that being Bama. Bama's ranked 25 in the KenPom rankings, but I think Rutgers could sneak up. You better watch out for Rutgers here. We've seen them do pretty well in the Big Ten and sneak up and beat people. So if you're not on your game, Rutgers can get you here. But I would expect Notre Dame or Alabama to move on here. But between Notre Dame and Rutgers, I think they'd have a tougher time with Rutgers.
All right, next up, number 3, Texas Tech, who we have seen do very well in this tournament over the last couple seasons, mainly on the strength of their defense, take on number 14 seed Montana State. So, Scott, this is one of the better defensive teams that we have in America here with Texas Tech. Montana State, pretty good offensively. They can hit some threes. They can get it done. Top 50 nationally in effective field goal percentage here. So, any shot here for Montana State to pull the upset? I'm staying away from this game personally. I like Texas Tech to move on. I don't feel strongly about a bet in this one.
Yeah, if I had to go anywhere, I would go Texas Tech. I mean, just kind of looking, they are number 1 in defense efficiency in the whole country, actually, Beer. So that's something that I definitely use as a lot of weight here in this one here. But Montana State, I just think they're going to be overmatched. But those 15, it's again here. I mean, I don't care what 2 teams are playing. I'm going to try to stay away from these high point spread games here. But I actually do like the under in this one, Beer. This one actually moved up from 129 to 132. Knowing that Texas Tech is one of the best teams here defensively, I think I would just rather take Texas Tech and maybe even look at the under in this one.
All right, let's talk some Sparty. Friday night. Spencer's been waiting on this one. I'm glad we made him wait till the end to talk about his Spartans here. But Davidson and Michigan State, this is another one. A lot of people talking upset, Scott. Do you agree with them? Did you see enough out of Michigan State to get things done? Davidson been impressive in their own right. So this is actually one of the games I'm really looking forward to. Very close spread. Just a 1-point spread here in this one. Davidson can spread things out. They got a lot of guys that can score the basketball. Can Michigan State stepping up? Can their experience pay off here? Can the big conference, the Big Ten, can those wars help them out here? Or are they on upset alert here with Davidson?
I ain't buying Davidson. Is Curry coming back? That's all I need to know. If he's not coming back, I ain't buying it. Michigan State should win this game here. You talk about those Ken Pom rankings. They're literally right next to each other, 40-41. But the one that stands out for me is we've been talking the defensive measures here. They're 199 points different here. Michigan State ranked 53. Davidson's ranked 152 beer. Even though Davidson is ranked 11 in offensive efficiency, Spartans aren't too far behind in 38. So I just think that's too big of a big defensive gap here. I think Michigan State's too deep. I think the Spartans win here, and I think they win easily.
Yeah, I like the over here as well. I think we're going to get some scoring in this game. This will not be your typical Big Ten game. I think we get a lot of points here. So I don't disagree with you on Michigan State, but I like the over in this one. Last game, we got Duke and Cal State Fullerton to 215 again. Most likely Duke moves on here. Do you want the points here with Fullerton winning the Big West? It's an experienced roster here for them, but tough task here against this talented Duke team.
Yeah, I mean, they are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games as an underdog. We saw Duke there struggle a little bit at the end of the year, getting blown out by North Carolina in that big, huge, last home game for Coach K. But I just don't see them here, Cal State sending Coach K into retirement. I think that is going to be hopefully lined up for Coach Izzo to knock Coach K out. But, yeah, I think I would probably take the points here in this spot, but yeah, Duke moves on.
All right, that'll do it for a look at the East and West regions of the bracket. Come on back for tomorrow's show. We'll break down the South and the Midwest brackets, maybe reveal some of our favorite picks to make the Final Four, things like that. Again, I got a pick I don't think a lot of people are going to have. I've also put a bet on them. So we'll reveal that tomorrow, see who Scott thinks is going to win this tournament as well. But we got to get the people some best bets for tonight, Scott. What do we got? Let's get the people some winners.
Beer man, I'm going with the game tonight with the Indiana Hoosiers, Wyoming. I'm going to take Wyoming tonight. And then obviously, you got to bet on the Pistons. The Pistons are free money. You just keep throwing money at the Pistons. You just keep stuffing money in your shirt, beer man. That's how we do it here around here. Woodward bets. Pistons are on fuego. Just keep riding them. If you're not listening and you haven't caught on by now, I feel sorry for you. Just keep riding the Pistons. It's just like free money, beer.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Pistons. I'm gonna double up on that one. I really like them with the points here in this game, so they will be one of my best bets here as well. I also like Indiana tonight. John Morant missing the game potentially doesn't sound good. It's not good for this Memphis team. As good as they've been, that's their guy. I know Indiana going to be missing some guys as well, but catching 7.5 points at home against a John Morantless Memphis team is something that I am very interested in. So I'll stick with the 2 picks here tonight as well. Detroit, we're teaming up on that one in the Indiana Pacers plus 7.5. And now we'll do it for our Tuesday show. Tomorrow, Wednesday show again. We'll break down NBA, bigger slate of games, continue our look at this NCAA bracket. But exciting stuff coming up here. Always love March Madness, one of my favorite events of the year. Scott, final thoughts for the people Tuesday night. What do we got?
Yep, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Glad you guys all joined us. Just, we try to break it down a little bit differently, give you a different perspective. That's why we talk about the defensive efficiency. I mean, the last year's all 4 Final Four teams were in the top 10 of defensive efficiency, something that a lot of people don't talk about. But, yeah, appreciate everybody listening. Get in on Woodward Bets brackets here, and should be a lot of fun. One of us are going to take it down. If it's not me, it's going to be Beer Man. If it's not Beer Man, it may even be the heavyweight Spencer. So we'll have to see how we fare.
Right, WoodwardSportsBracket.com. So make sure you join us. Make sure you're hitting that like button on YouTube, like Scott said. Give us a follow on Twitter at WoodwardBets, and head over to WoodwardSportsBracket.com and get your entry in for this free contest, $1,000 to the winner. Can't beat free. So that will do it for today's show. Again, tomorrow we'll take a deeper look at the tournament, finishing up our look at the bracket, revealing some winners, some Final Four picks, and, of course, our favorite bets. So that'll wrap it up for Scott, for our boys behind the glass. And I don't know if it's Spencer today, so we'll give him a shout-out, or our new guy, Fletch. So welcome to Fletch here. I don't know, maybe both of them back there, so they're both getting a shout-out. We appreciate your work, fellas. I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck with your bets. Good luck with the games tonight. And we'll catch you right back here tomorrow.